Hello, once again, we are going to do some work on this automation essay, and I'm hoping that we can clarify and understand a bit more about counterclaims and how they work in this type of essay. So the first thing I think you probably want to know is why and how would one want to include a counterclaim, or Callum, as I spelt it, in an argument essay. And there are a few reasons for that. But the one thing that you want to keep in mind is thinking about how the people who are probably the best at quote unquote winning an argument are those that really understand the other point of view and can anticipate having a good response to address that. So you can't expect that you're going to tackle a really juicy topic, let's say, and not address some of the counter arguments and think that it's going to be really effective. So I'll say up front that this whole topic of automation is probably not, hugely controversial, but I also, I do think that there are plenty of people who are very much the tech progressive type people who would insist that technology opens other opportunities and other areas of growth. So, and there are probably all kinds of other, aspects to this topic that I'm not thinking about right at this moment. But let's take a look once again at the essay, and we'll kind of unpack it a bit. So, evidence that automation is negatively affecting the American economy is hard to ignore. While automation does increase productivity within the industries, the fact remains that Americans are losing their jobs and ultimately their livelihoods. The advancement of technology will continue, and it is important to find ways to ensure this new technology helps people, not hurts them. By ensuring there are ways to benefit from technology within our economy, we must continue to foster community sustainability. Companies offering training incentives for their employees to further themselves and integrate their position to include tech advances ensure a person can grow with the innovative future that lies ahead. Tax incentives motivate companies to invest in their employees with such programs and other methods of maintaining a loyal workforce. Training ensures that those who have remained in their field for a while are not competing with a new age group, but rather growing with them, making room for society to advance and foster cross-sectional mobility. So there's a lot going on there. And once again, the writer kind of starts with a topic sentence there, with more of a broad stroke this time, because he's working his way toward the end. So evidence that automation is negatively affecting the American economy is hard to ignore. So this is, certainly referring back to previous paragraphs and trying to advance that argument a little bit further in this one. But here's where there's a real subtle counterclaim. All right, so I'm going to change colors on that one. And let's put a comment. So this is addressing a counterclaim. Okay, so while automation does increase productivity within the industries, and this is important because if this writer went through this whole argument about technology and only focused on the negative impact to American workers, it would seem incomplete, and it would make this author seem less credible. So it would diminish the ethos that this author has. And as you know, and as you remember, that's important. You want to establish yourself as someone credible and someone knowledgeable and someone who should be considered an expert. So the thing, though, to keep in mind is this is the counterclaim, but it is quickly followed by the fact remains that Americans are losing their jobs and ultimately their livelihoods. So putting this idea next to an increase in productivity is a very effective argumentative tool. And that's one that it comes right out of They Say, I Say in the chapters that you've been reading. So the author goes on to say the advancement of technology will continue, and it is important to find ways to ensure this new technology helps people, not hurts them. So I'm not sure that I would qualify this as quite being a counterclaim, but it is certainly acknowledging that there are benefits to technology. And again, that's a smart thing to do to establish ethos. By ensuring there are ways to benefit from technology within our economy, we must continue to foster community sustainability. So again, it's like sort of building that argument. Companies offering training incentives for their employees to further themselves and integrate their position to include tech advances, et cetera, et cetera. And then he goes into tax incentives to support training. So in this section, really till the end, I'm going to give this a different color even. Make it green. This is all really getting toward offering solutions, which can be, it's not necessary to do that in your argument if you have that type of issue, but it can be an effective way to conclude your argument by making suggestions or a call to action. It's a common technique. So this idea of having a counterclaim is not gigantic, but it's very, very important. So, and this is where those templates and the wording and the structure of the sentence is important, and you can use and refer to the chapters in They Say, I Say. So this structure right here, while automation does this, the fact remains that. I'm going to give you another option too that you could use. So like you could say some technology experts suggest, we'll say the benefits of increased productivity outweigh the negative impact on workers. So that's going back to the thesis statement at the beginning. However, I believe that blah, blah, blah. All right, so you can use that structure where, again, you acknowledge an opposing view, or in this case, not even opposing, it's another view. It is a fact that technology can increase productivity. But it is also a fact that American workers have lost jobs as a result of technological advancements. So it's a good strategy to keep in mind as you're thinking about your issue, as you're beginning to think about the kind of research you need to do, and as you're beginning to think about how you want to really position your argument in the best possible way. All right, stay tuned for the next lesson.